Hi everyone, it's Luke here and welcome back to another video. Now today, as you probably guessed by the title, I'm going to be reviewing my car, the Audi A1 S-Line. But before we get started on the main bulk of the video, I'd just like to run you around the car and show you the subtle modifications I've done. They're only aesthetical, as obviously this is my first car. So if you are new to the channel, you obviously won't know of the Project A1 series, where I've just been documenting the mods I've done to it. So if you are new to the channel, then pay attention to the following. So I'm going to start off with the wheels. Now these are in fact the original 17-inch wheels that this car comes with from factory. Just I have changed the color of them basically. Now initially I wanted to do them full black, but the bits that are shown gloss black now were originally a very light grey. So there was no real contrast between the spoke and the spoke edges. So I wanted to break it up a bit and pretty much make it stand out a bit more, which I think has worked. So yeah, really happy with them. And that was in fact the first thing I did to the car. Moving on, as you can see behind it, I've got the red brake calipers. Now this is the second thing I did to the car, and I did it myself. Pretty much went to Halfords and got some brake caliper paint. I always wanted to do red brake calipers on my car, and I think it ties in with the silver and the little red accents as well as the black accents pretty nicely. Moving back, you'll see that I have done a little bit of tyre writing. Now initially I only had one side of it done, because pretty much I ordered a tyre writing pen off Amazon, very cheap, only about £2, and pretty much just coloured it in. It is looking a little bit grotty at the moment because I need to redo it, because obviously after a while the road ground gets to it and it starts flaking off when you wash it. But it's only a temporary thing. As well, you can see at the bottom I've got some stickers, some small stickers. They are considerably worse, seeing as they were much more expensive, because actually if I show you the front ones, you can see they are peeling off pretty badly. They have been on there for about 4,000 miles now, so I mean, it obviously isn't going to last forever. Moving around to the back of the car, you'll see that I've done three things. The first thing you'll see is I've done the gloss black rear section. Now obviously originally this was the body colour, silver, but I thought I'd match it to the black roof, which came with the car from factory, as well as the black mirrors. Second of all, you can see my private plate, 14 LAP. That's the date of my birthday, and then those are my initials for anyone wondering. I always wanted to get a private plate on my car, and this is one which I can keep forever, and I intend to put them on my cars in the future. And then last of all, you can see the gloss black Audi badge. Now after doing the back panel in black, I kind of wanted to do the same with the Audi badge, as it kind of looked a bit strange with all like black accents and then chrome. But yeah, I ordered a new one for this. You can respray them black, but I chose the lazy option. Then if I move around to the front, you can see the last few things that I've done. One is not too obvious. This is in fact vinyl, this little bit here. Pretty much did it to make the vent look a little bit bigger, make it look a little bit more aggressive. The other thing that I did is do this bit in gloss black as well. And as well as that, I also did the front black Audi badge to make it more menacing, obviously. If I go back a bit, you can see that from the front, it does look quite mean. So there we are. Now you know what I've done to the car to make it look like what it does now. But I think without further ado, let's hop in the car and get started. So this particular model is the 1.4 litre S-Line Style Edition. So the Style Edition pretty much means that it comes with a few more aesthetic touches, such as the black roof and the black mirrors, as well as a slightly more aggressive rear bumper and front bumper. But the 1.4 litre engine, albeit quite small, kicks out a total of about 120 brake horsepower, which for quite a light car like the A1 is quite impressive. And thanks to this being an S-Line, it doesn't sound too bad either. Because this is quite a nippy little car, it's not hard to live up to the stereotype of being a typical Audi driver. Now I bought the car last October, so in the time of this being uploaded and filmed, I've had it for about 7 months. And when I bought the car, it just hit 7,000 miles. It's now just about to hit 20,000 miles, so about 13,000 happy miles. And yeah, absolutely loved it. Obviously I've been daily driving it, seeing as it's my only car at the moment, and I've been taking it to work every day. taken it to London, taken it to a few car shows, and it's just been brilliant. I've absolutely loved every minute of it. But yeah, I think that for anyone who's looking for a first car, this is got to be one of your choices, because it's sensible, yet it's a bit of a hoon at the same time. Like with this 1.4 litre engine, like I said just before, it's got about 120 horsepower, but because it's so light, you can really have some fun with it. And because the steering is so agile, it's so direct, it does feel very sporty and kind of like a mini go-kart. And that's one of the things which I really love about this. So as well as that, it's obviously quite a small car, meaning if you're driving around cities or if you're parking or whatever, it's not too hard. And the visibility out of it is pretty good as well, especially out the back, and overall making it pretty easy to drive. As well as that, the gearbox is very good. Obviously the clutch is not heavy at all, seeing as it's a fairly everyday car. And with the 6-speed manual that I've got on my one, it's flawless. You can obviously have the automatic gearbox. I can't say anything good or bad about it because I've never driven an automatic A1. But obviously you do have the paddle shifters on the steering wheel with that. But I personally prefer a better driving experience. Like I'm in control of the gears more so in a manual, and therefore I prefer it. There's only one real thing which is a bit of a downer for everyday use, and that is the space, the overall space, whether it's in the back seats or in the boot. Now I rarely have people in the back seat, to be honest, but when I do have to move my seat forward, and I do occasionally get an earful for the fact that there's no room. But also the boot. Now the boot isn't massive as you'd expect on a car of this size, but to be honest, it's bearable. I mean, it's not tiny, but it's not huge. I personally don't find it an issue because normally I'm just driving on my own, or if not with my girlfriend in the passenger seat, so we never really have a full car. I'm sure you know what to expect when buying a car of this size. I mean, the boot's not going to be huge, obviously. As for the whole cabin itself, I mean, it's a very nice place to be. All the dials and everything are very well done. The quality is good. It's a bit like any other Audi dashboard, really, just made a little bit smaller and more compact, which I like. I mean, it's quite simple. There's not really too many buttons everywhere. It's not something which is difficult to work out what everything does. I mean, it's pretty obvious. The only bit which is slightly confusing for some people possibly is just the number of buttons on the steering wheel, but that's pretty much just the multimedia stuff. But I'll get on to all the controls and everything a bit later on in the video. Now moving on to the ride. Now the ride quality on the A1, the A1 in general isn't too bad, but this being the S-Line model, it has slightly stiffer suspension. It's just something that you need to be aware of before you go and buy an S-Line model, just for the sake of it, because obviously the standard ones, like the sport models, do have a slightly better ride due to the smaller wheels and a slightly comfier suspension. As for the multimedia, now the little computer thing that we've got in the middle of the dash is very easy to use, as you'd expect from an Audi. The sat nav is good, although I did have a moment not too long ago actually when I was going up to London, and the sat nav just could not find a route at all, meaning I had to resort to using the maps on my phone to get to my destination. A DAB radio is available on the car as well, but for me personally, I always use Bluetooth and listen to my own music, which leads me onto the speakers, which are very good. You can adjust the bass and the treble as you can in any other car. When you do that, it does make a hell of a difference, and the music quality as a result is pretty top notch. Now moving on to fuel consumption. Now the A1 isn't too bad on fuel. I think on average I get about 30 to 35 miles per gallon, and it costs me about 40 to 50 pounds to fill up, depending on how much fuel I have in the first place in the tank. But what I found after obviously living with the car for nearly a year now is when the fuel gauge goes below 100 miles, it goes down a hell of a lot quicker than the 200 above it, especially when it gets down below 50 or whatnot. I find myself doing a simple 15-minute journey into work and back in a day and find it going down a hell of a lot more. So basically when it gets down to about 70, maybe 60, I put fuel in because there's not too much left. It's not a huge issue, it's just something which I'm pointing out for any of you guys that are watching this video prior to buying an A1 and want to know the good things and the bad things and the things to watch out for. So I've now switched cameras so I can run through the interior of the car and kind of show you what's what. So I think let's start with the driver's zone. Obviously, like I was saying just before in the video, there is quite a lot of buttons on the steering wheel, but once you get used to them, it is fairly straightforward. Now obviously all these buttons operate the screen in the center. And as you can see, yeah, nearing 20,000 miles. But yeah, as you can see, there's loads of different displays which you can choose. My personal favorite is the digital speedometer, because it's just easier to see rather than trying to read the standard speedometer here. And then if you use this toggle here, lots of various information will pop up, such as fuel and average miles per gallon and whatnot. And it's just all around quite an easy interface to use once you get used to it. Moving on to the center console, it's all fairly self-explanatory really. Obviously you've got the screen in the middle, which is operated by this kind of multimedia console bit here. As always, typical Audi, is very easy to use. And other than that, you've obviously got your climate control as standard. Air conditioning is very much so on today, because look at that, 28 degrees in the UK, that's unheard of. Yeah, other than that, that is pretty much the interior of the car as a driver's perspective. Like I said, it's very straightforward, but to be honest, if you're learning to drive this and this is your first car, that's kind of what you want. Like I said about the room in the back, there's not too much. I mean, that's how I have my seat. And if I were to hop in now, I mean, I know I'm not the tallest of people, there's just not much room at all. As well as this, I'm not sure if you can see really, but the headroom isn't too good either. But to be honest, I don't have to worry about that because I'll always be in the driver's seat. And then finally, if I were to open the boot, then you'll see that there's not a great deal of space. Please excuse this anti-slip thing. It's just useful as stuff doesn't really rattle around. But there are two different modes of the boot as such. You can have it resting on this level, which obviously makes the boot considerably smaller, or you can raise it down a level, which is what I've got it at the moment, so you can fit more stuff in. I suppose if you're buying a car of this size, then you don't really expect it to have a huge boot. But to be honest, it works for me, and for anyone else buying this as a first car, it should for you too. So if you are looking to buy an Audi A1, be it for your first car or not, it's just an all-round brilliant car, and very, very easy to use on a daily basis. And yeah, I love it. Now that is it for this video. I hope you have enjoyed. It's good to get back into the reviewing. I haven't done a review on a car in at least a year. But yeah, if you have enjoyed, then please do make sure you leave a like on the video. Also make sure you are subscribed to the channel for plenty more videos coming soon, as I do definitely want to do a review on Dad's SLS soon, seeing as the weather is getting better, meaning we'll be using it more. Other than that, please do make sure you add me on Snapchat for loads of behind the scenes stuff whilst I'm filming the videos, and also to be notified as soon as each one goes up. But yeah, that is it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time.